Thank you for joining me today. Today we will be talking about your education and career questions, and I will be attempting to answer them. And if for those of you joining for the first time, my name is Hoda, and I am a career management professional. A lot of you have asked what is it I do and what does it actually mean. So I thought our question for the day, and don't worry, I will relate it to something that will lead you to reflect on and answer all your questions with that in mind. So what does a career coach do? A career coach is your cheerleader, and they are definitely your greatest supporter because that's the basis of your relationship. That's why you guys met. That's why you have created this relationship. Career coach definitely will help you plan your future. This is what we do as career coaches. If you're not sure how to move forward, working with a career coach may be a good idea for you. We support you to narrow down education or career choices. And this is basically why I am holding this session, is to help you do that by answering your questions. I'm hoping that will help you move forward and narrowing down and finding your purpose. We do provide an active listening ear. I may not be able to do that as much being live and, with having more than one participant, but with it being a one-on-one sessions, and that's the individual sessions, because like I said, that's only one of the hats the career coach wears. We will definitely support you from that perspective, is that we give you an active listening ear. That is, we are looking for clues in what you're saying. And at the same time, we will be asking powerful questions in case you hesitate to share with us your point of view. How does it start? Most typically, career coaches will provide a free half-hour consultation. For me, I see it, and a lot of career coaches see it as a way to get to know you, and at the same time for you to get to know us and decide if working together works for you, because there's different personalities for sure that come into play, and maybe you need to clarify your goals so that when you start that relationship and commit and sign a contract, then the career coach knows exactly what you need. And this is really the main purpose of it, and of this free half-hour consultation. If any other career coach asks you for further commitment, then they will be pushing you too hard. You have to make your decision. You have to take your time to make sure that the career coach you're working with, you are compatible. So if you don't feel good about that half-hour consultation, don't feel committed to meet with them again or to commit to a contract, because the purpose of the consultation is for you to make that decision and decide if you want to move forward. So I hope that you are putting in your questions. I am quickly going to start with one question, and that I saw online as I was preparing for this meeting, and so the website that had that question posted by, and they answered it really well, and I thought I'd want to share it because that is one of the questions that I may not have quickly picked up on the difference, and in that perspective, I should share it with you. So one of the questions is, should I pursue a career in data science or quantum computing? And this is what I mean, that career coaches may not be able to give you all the answers you're looking for, but what career coach will typically do is tell you where to go to find that answer. However, that website actually provided a good answer, and I looked it up, and I will answer it just to give you an idea of how you should be narrowing down your choices. So what is the difference between data science and quantum computing? Apparently data science is more practical. So while they are both research, data science is more practical. You will be able to do the research and see your results pretty on the job. Whereas with quantum computing, the research is more theoretical, which means that you may not be able to see your research in action, perhaps, or that is being used. So you come up with something and you may not be able to see it used. And that is why the purpose of the question is that if I don't know the answer, I'll go find out. And this is one of the questions that I wouldn't have known the answer right off the bat. And so when I read it, I'm like, okay, this is a good way to show you how, not only how to narrow down the questions that are going through your mind, the decisions, but also how to look into the details of every program. And for me also, that if I don't know, I will find the answer. So I see some of you have already typed the questions in the chat box. Please continue to do so. Remember, there are no right or wrong questions, and no question is too silly to contemplate and share. And here we go. With the first question, how can I manage my stress level when I know I cannot find a job? This is important, and I'm sure everybody, a lot of people are thinking about this. So a very good, timely question during the COVID-19 crisis we're going through. What you need to remember is that I share a lot of stress management resources for you and in my blogs. And so if you are having a problem with stress, my number one exercise that I refer my clients to is the breathing exercise. So take a deep breath, count to 5 to 10 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and breath in, take a deep breath. Really, did you feel that your lungs are filled out, and then blow out the air after that. This is very important. It's part of an exercise that I saw in a book. And I am not a breathing specialist, but a lot of research shows that if you breathe in, it'll help you relax a little bit. But first and foremost, you need to think that you can find a job in this crisis. There are a lot of jobs being open out there online, and there are also a lot of companies preparing for the future when things open up again. So really keep that in mind and try to help yourself to focus on the positive of things. And one of the things I work with my clients as well is that we do prepare. So you can find a job if you have skills. So I cannot find a job should not be an option or even a thought. By focusing on preparing your resume, focusing on preparing your cover letter, this will hopefully increase your positive attitude and give you a more positive mindset in that you can find a job. But also, I think more importantly is you need to go out and network. Reach out to people in the field you are hoping to find a job in. For me, networking is always the only way to find a job. If you find a job anywhere, any other method, I'd like to hear about it. But typically, if it's a job you want, you really have to network for it. And in my opinion, while a resume and cover letter are important, networking is the number one resource. And so if you're having difficulty with that, or the idea of networking is not easy for you, you are lucky in that today's world we can network online. And so we don't always have to reach out by phone or face-to-face. We can start the networking process by email. And one of the things I tell my young clients is that what is the worst thing that can happen is that people won't answer you. And well, you try again. And so by working and putting things in action, you are going to decrease your stress level because you feel like you're doing something about it. But really, that breathing exercise is also very important. All right, let's move on to the next question. I just completed a master's degree and I cannot find a job. What should I do? See, back to the attendee who asked the question is that your situation is common, right? A lot of people cannot find a job, and we understand that these are unusual circumstances, and that is okay. What we need to remember is that we can find a job. So I'm glad that question came right after that first question. We can find a job, but we just have to try a little bit harder than normally we would. With a master's degree, I suggest you go back to your professors and talk to them, particularly if you want to get into the research field. But regardless, this type of networking with your professors is the best way for you to find a job. This is because if they are not looking to hire you for research, and if that's not what you're interested, they actually have worked with companies for their research, looking for grants, looking for research opportunities. And so they will know someone who might be hiring. And as a fresh graduate, and in these circumstances, you may want to consider either an internship or even a volunteer opportunity to get your skills up, particularly if you have not worked before. If you've worked before, then reaching out to employers you've worked for, then they may know someone who's hiring if they are not hiring themselves. So definitely, I take you back to networking, because I think this is the most important way of getting a job. And for a master's degree, you already have the networks through the university. Which is the professors you can reach out to, even your colleagues, because with a master's degree, some colleagues will have worked a few years before completing the master's degree, so there might be potential there as well. So keep at it. Make sure your resume is complete. There are no mistakes in it. Prepare a cover letter that truly reflects what your goals are. What are you looking for? And this is something that you can adjust as you go out and network and reach out to people, because they will be asking you about the type of job that you want. So make sure you are clear on what you are looking for now that you have completed a master's degree. And congratulations, by the way. This is a great accomplishment, for sure. All right, on to the next question. All right, I'm super excited to answer this next one. And I'll tell you why once I read it. I am a stay-at-home mom looking to go back to work. How can I prepare for applying for a job? The reason I'm excited to answer it because I was a stay-at-home mom as well, and I stayed home to raise my kids, and it was a great experience. I'm glad I did it. During that experience, what I did was I volunteered in schools for university research, and I volunteered for nonprofit organizations. And all this volunteering helped me prepare for the job. And then when it was time to apply for a job, I used the skills that I learned during volunteering to move forward. So how can you prepare? First, reflect on what you have done during the time as a stay-at-home mom. What have you participated in? Even in volunteering in the kids' classroom, you have gained skills by volunteering in your children's classroom. What kind of job were you doing? Some of the things I did was reading with young students who were English language learners. So that helped me build the skill, if you may, for tutoring and for working with students one-on-one. So definitely everything you did, you need to sit down and document every volunteer opportunities you did. If not volunteering, if you helped a neighbor, what did you help them with? And once you start to make that list, your skills will start to shine, and then you can use them to develop a resume, of course. That is definitely important. I say write a cover letter, really 2 to 3 paragraphs of your story, of what are your reasons for wanting to work that reflect your passion, why you want to go back to the working field. So that's important, of course. And then once you've got these things ready, then it's time to go back and start the networking process. Again, the networking would be either with the friends you developed through volunteering. If not, depending on what your activities you were participating in, even if it was coffee chats, you have a lot of friends. That's great when you can arrange play dates for your kids. These are people you can reach out to and say, hey, I'm looking to get a job. And particularly for us women who stayed home, we have a big gap here, so we cannot be hired the traditional way. So this is networking becomes even more important for women in transition. You really have to rely on friends, on people you met throughout those years that you were stay-at-home mom. And if you're going back to a field that you used to work in before the stay-at-home situation, then you probably would want to consider developing skills, because in that period that you were home, new research, new discoveries, and new laws could have come up, and you need to upgrade your skills. That is something you could also do to prepare. So in short, create a resume, create a cover letter, and upgrade your skills if you need it for going back to a job that used to be. If you're doing the career transition, you may want to consider upgrade them for a new career that you're considering. And then finally, of course, once you get all that ready, it's time for you to start networking and get that job. All right, so we still have time, so we move on to the next question. I finished high school this year. Is taking a gap year a good idea? That's a great question, because I got a chance to learn a lot more about gap year in a conference I attended in January. I have to say that as a mom with two young boys, when they were in high school, I was scared that they would come and say they want to take a gap year. For me as a parent, and it's just probably, I'm sharing this because this could be your parents' situation as well, is that there will be a lot of questions in your mind. Will you go back to school eventually? Will you be able to find yourself better by taking that gap year? See, they're not sure. They're worried that you're going to end up staying at home, playing Netflix or watching TV, watching Netflix or playing games. And so I did write a blog about that. If you want to read that, it's on WordPress. Look out for Hoda's blog. And so lots of questions going through their minds. So, and that is important. Now, if you are financially secure, like you've worked through the summer and you have money and you could think you could get a job lined up, so your parents' concerns may not be as much of a priority. But really, is taking a gap year a good idea? The question becomes, why do you want to take a gap year? Is it because you just want to take a break? Or is it because you want to find your next steps? So ideally, it would be because you want to find your next steps. If you want to take a break, taking a month would be good. But the idea behind a gap year is that you are taking time to reflect on what you want to do next. And for me, if one of my children wanted to take a gap year, I would have probably let them if they came forward with a plan and saying, okay, I want to take a gap year, and this is what I want to do. I want to travel, I want to get a job, I want to volunteer abroad, or whatever it is you're hoping to accomplish with that gap year. So having a plan will definitely help you, and to know where you're going and why you're going to do it. And then you can at that point answer your question if taking a gap year is a good idea. But it also helps you convince your parent if that is a concern. With today's COVID-19 crisis, you may not be able to travel, but I keep telling my clients is that there are a lot of opportunities to take a gap year online. And the purpose of it is exploration and trying out new opportunities to discover your purpose. And if not your purpose, discover your interests, your values, what is important to you, especially if you're still not clear on that. Yes, taking a gap year is a good idea if you're not sure where you want to be headed, and if your idea of what I'm going to do next is go to college, then taking a gap year is a good idea. If you'd like to talk more about it and share your situation, I would love to have a half-hour chat with you and build on that together. Okay, so we do have some time and move on to the next question. I have no clue what my dream job is. Will I ever find out? I love this question, and yes, you will find out. You just have to do a little bit of work on that, and having no clue is normal, regardless of your age. Some people I've worked with were in their 40s who had no clue what their dream job is. They had been going through the motions and all of a sudden decided, I want to know what my dream job is. So this is normal. What I suggest, and there are a lot of resources out there that can help you find your dream job. It's not an easy process, and it does take work. The resources, I have 3 favorites. One of them is ALIS website if you live in Alberta, Canada. It's developed by the government of Alberta, and it helps you find your interests and build on it till you find not maybe your dream career, but your dream job, which is what you're hoping to find. So they will show you, assist you to find what your dream job is through questionnaires, assessments, and sample jobs that could be as a result of your assessments. So again, it's ALIS, it's by the government of Alberta. And on this website also, you will find some jobs posted. Not a lot, but sometimes once you hit which job is good for you or matches your interests, you can find jobs posted on there. Another favorite, and that is someone, if you live in the USA, but really you can use it in Canada as well, is the ONET, ONET Online. That one is created by the government, US government. And again, lots of resources there for you to help narrow down and start with interests and go down or go up all the way to find your career. A new website I found out about recently is by the government of Canada and the province of New Brunswick. It's called PACE, Plan to Achieve Excellence. So PACE. Is a great website because it's divided into 4 stages. Every stage has 6 categories for you to start from your interest all the way to a chat box that you can send questions and they will answer your concerns regarding every stage. So really, these are 3 great resources for you to check out and explore. And again, you can read my blog, Huda's blog, and see if by reading my articles, this may help you as well to narrow down your interests and find what you are hoping to find, which is your dream job. All right. I love this question. What do you know today that you wish someone told you when you were in high school? This is something that I've always reflected on because it does come out in interviews a lot too. So definitely on my list to prepare questions for interviews. What I know today that I wish someone had told me when I was in high school is that you should reflect on your future. Spend some time every day, okay, if not every day, once a week, just reflecting on your future and what you want to do with it. I'm not saying spending hours, but spend a minute or 2. See, no one told me that, and I never really thought about the next job. I just applied randomly and took the first job that popped up. While this has allowed me to develop different skills, from working in the financial sector to the government sector, education sector, it has allowed me to develop a lot of varied skills. But I like to think if someone had said, take the time to reflect on your future, my career journey would have been more direct in that I really love helping people, and let's focus on that and build on it. But something that you would should consider really is take the time to think about what you want to do next. Don't let things be random. So definitely that's an advice I wish someone shared with me when I was in high school. We do have time for one more question, and we will go ahead with, I am considering changing careers. Is this a good time to switch jobs? It really depends on your situation. So I would probably need to know more in order to really answer it very directly into your situation. From my opinion, though, there is no wrong time to switch careers. You decide when that time is right for you. It would be easy right now if you are not working. So if due to the crisis you stopped working, then you may want to consider this to be a great time to change careers, because guess what? There are a lot of available online resources right now for free that you can use to upgrade your skills towards the new career you're hoping to accomplish. Even if it's career coaching, lots of people are offering courses for new career coaches. If you need resources for that, you can email me and I'll pass that on to you. And also for any other new career you're considering to switch to, email me. If I don't know the answer, I'll look around. Lots of free webinars out there for you to develop your skills and create a new job. If you are currently working and you're thinking of switching jobs, right now may not be a good idea, because if you leave your job, as you have seen in the previous questions, a lot of people are feeling they cannot find a job. So you really have to consider your financial situation in this before switching careers. But if your work is slow, so you're still working, but you're not working a lot, this is a good time to develop new skills so that when things pick up, or even now, you can start applying for jobs in a new career. So really it depends on your situation and on your reasons for wanting to switch jobs, but really take your time and not jump right away into a new career until you really know your reasons. So again, we go back to reflecting, why do you want to change careers? It is because you don't like your particular job you're doing right now, or you are working in the financial sector like I did and are looking to get into the education sector. But don't forget, the skills you have developed in the financial sector, you can take to the education sector and use these skills to develop and get forward quickly in your new career direction. So before jumping in, I would say make sure where you want to be headed and consider your current situation. And so, yeah, might be a good time for you to switch jobs. So this was our final question for today. And before I wrap up, I usually like to finish with a quote that I like to share with you. And this one is, I believe in your ability to succeed. This is something for you to reflect on for next week. I do believe in your ability to succeed. Your questions were very surely showing me that you were reflecting on your future. The question becomes, do you believe in your ability to succeed? So that's something for you to think about until we meet in the next time. But before I go, I just want to say thank you so much for attending my session. I have a list of all ways you can contact me and ask me any questions that you can build on from the question you asked me today, or anything else that can come up in your mind that has to do with education or career. And as I mentioned, if I don't know the answer, I will try to find it for you. And I am on LinkedIn, I am on Twitter, I am on Instagram and also on YouTube. And this is where you will find a replay of our meeting today if you know someone who is interested in hearing my answers, the questions proposed. And finally, I'm on Pinterest as well. I post a lot of fun career quotes and interesting facts that I share about education and career. Thank you so much for attending, and I will see you next week.